You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Deception After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Deception After Show.
Good evening, AfterBuzzers. I'm your host, Thaddeus Masse, and you're here for the first episode, first season of NBC's Deception. The first episode is called Pilot, because it's the pilot episode. I'm here with the incomparable. Introduce yourself, ladies.
I'm Megan Thomas.
Megan Thomas.
I'm Amber Jaye.
Amber Jaye. And
I'm Bamm Ericsen.
Bamm Ericsen is in the house. So, Bing is for doing, like I said before, and we're going to get right into this. So, first episode, what did you guys think of the first episode? Just really quick, one word. Give me one word.
Love.
Love. That's from Amber. Megan, one word.
Exciting.
Exciting. Bam, one word.
I was pleased.
That's 3 words.
Mine is intrigued. So we're going to explain this as we go and break down the show at the same time. Sorry, guys. I'm busy. Sorry. Anyway, Marissa Serafini in the box. Ladies and gentlemen, we love her. All right. So, Megan Good, Laz Alonso, Victor Garber, Tate Donovan, dope actors. NBC casted this show amazingly. And I don't think it can get much better based on the premise of the show when it comes to casting. They did a really, really great job. I didn't look up to see who the casting director was. Do you have that over there? No? Anyway, we'll look for it later.
Yeah.
But they did a good job as far as casting the show. So now it's about breaking down the storyline, the writing, and the show structure, pretty much, of how everything is going and gonna go, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about the intros. So we get introduced to this murder that's happened somewhere.
In New York.
In New York City. And we get introduced to Megan Good's character, what's her name? Her name is Joanna.
Joanna
Locasto.
Joanna Locasto. Okay. Thanks, Amber, for that. And Bam, thank you too. Joanna Locasto. This is interesting, seeing Megan Good play this character. And specifically because we're used to, what are we used to seeing
We're
Megan?
used to seeing Megan with no clothes on or doing something more
Megan with no clothes on, Amber? Come on. No clothes on?
A little bit of clothes.
A little bit of clothes. I mean, she's hot. Yes. So you think do you think this is like the transition type of thing?
She's just she's a very provocative persona. I don't know what the word is, but I think, she did Think Like a Man last year, and I think that kind of elevated her to the next tier. Like, she's finally leading a show, and you can see the more classy, the good Megan.
Right, right.
And on the way over here, I was listening to the radio, and she said, she had an interview, and she said she really likes the role that she's playing because she feels like it's a victory for her. She feels like now people can see me for my acting versus just seeing my goods,
Exactly.
So yeah,
she has expressed before that she wanted to eventually break out of people always seeing her as a sexy girl, and so she's had this opportunity. She took it, and so now she's a part of that. She's a part of that small clan of African American women who have led a drama show on daytime or primetime TV. So
it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think she's got unrighteously. It's kind of hard to say unrighteously pigeonholed into the pretty girl role because I've been watching Megan's career since she was in Eve's Bayou back in the day. Since she was a little girl.
That's the last time she had on clothes.
Skeeter, honey. Cousin Skeeter and Nickelodeon. Cousin Skeeter.
She didn't have on any clothes then either. She used to have a little half top.
She did.
Here we go.
I can take you further back. She was in Friday, but let's not go there. Let's go forward.
Right. Yeah. So I think this is a good opportunity for her to show some. I mean, she's shown chops, but it's been the same kind of chops in her adult career, playing the pretty girl, and it's giving her an opportunity to show a range of talent. To see her chase somebody down a stairwell, get punched in the face, have a busted lip, and then punch the camera, so to speak, punch a perp was, she pulled it off. It was kind of hard to see her doing that because of what we're used to. At the same time, she acted it. She still pulled it off acting-wise.
Mm-hmm. She definitely rose to the occasion. I think that she plays this character very well. Like, I think that she studied, she must have done her homework. She actually does play this character very well. It's very believable to me, even though it is Megan.
But I'm not gonna lie, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think they should have uglied her up a little bit more. Because she's so pretty. She really is a pretty girl.
But she doesn't have on a lot of makeup.
She doesn't.
If you watch.
She's so pretty. And that's what I'm saying.
I was jealous.
You know, I know. They should have left crust in her eye, spinach in her teeth, something. Just to, you know, she's so pretty.
Spinach in the teeth.
Yes. She's so pretty.
Spinach in the teeth. That's funny. Well, go ahead, Bamm.
I think maybe they should have shortened her hair.
I think, you know what I thought about the hair thing too? It's funny you mentioned that because I thought about that. And
because her hair is short now, and so for the pilot, she went back to what we normally see her as. So I thought that maybe if they would have shortened her hair, and maybe not as short as her real hair, but maybe just, you know, shoulder length or something, just to make her, you know,
not as such a glamorous San Francisco Police Department officer.
Yeah,
because she looks like she's on the red carpet.
Yeah,
she's so
But
gorgeous.
I mean, I think it
Is
works.
that what you mean?
In some ways, yeah.
In some ways, yeah. I still think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally think it works with her. And so, you know, she's this cop. And so now you want to get into her purpose. And so so she's the cop. And she gets a call from Will Moreno, who's
No, he shows up.
Well, yeah, he shows up. He shows up, knocks on the door, and he informs her.
Right, who's played by Laz Alonso.
Laz Alonso, that her best friend was murdered. And her and Laz's character has history because they were detectives together. And then he was eventually moved to FBI. And so, you know.
Right, and that's actually where their relationship fell because they dated for 4 years, and he got that promotion and went on to the FBI.
No, they were partners for 4 years, and they dated for 1 week.
And then she broke up.
Right, they worked. Well, that's what I meant when they worked together.
Yeah.
They were partners. You're right. They were partners for 4 years, dated for a week, which is really funny.
Yeah,
dated for a week, and then he moved on to the FBI.
A lot can happen in a week.
Yeah,
especially when you're like attractive and stuff.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's you. I gotta watch out for you. Amber is funny. Amber Jaye.
Yeah.
Especially when you're attractive. You can get away with a lot when you're attractive.
I mean,
you know, they've done studies on lookism. Anyway.
Exactly.
So she goes to investigate her friend's murder. She shows up at the house. Will convinces her to go undercover because there obviously been an investigation going on around the Bowers family. And the Bowers family is worth $10 billion. They're ultra rich and they get away with
everything.
Murder. It seems that they get away with everything. One thing I have to mention is that I didn't like how they were incorporating TMZ, like real world
references.
It's just references. Yeah, that reference was to me was like, it didn't really fit. It was like they're trying to make it real for everybody, but it should have just, referred to the media because the tone of the show didn't really have that real world gritty vibe to it for me.
The demographic is 18 to 34, and so they can identify with something like TMZ, so you have to...
I mean, I got what they were trying to do.
I don't know.
I think it makes it more real, though, because if everybody knows what TMZ is, so if you add that real element of something that we probably all look at anyway, I think it makes it a little bit more real and believable.
Well, it would have been more believable if we would actually saw paparazzis, and then we would have got a feel more of what the social media and what paparazzis do. But it was only mentioned in the reference, and it was so quick that it really didn't really make a difference whether if it was TMZ or if you just said paparazzis, because everyone knows what paparazzi is. So you can kind of use your imagination to that. So for me, it was. Who cares?
They mentioned it like 2 or 3 times too, and it was kind of gratuitous. Yeah. Instead of just saying, you could have mentioned TMZ like once and then gone to say, oh, the media, blah blah blah, unless that was part of the plot or there was money or something being exchanged for that story.
Yeah.
Per se.
But so continuing on with the story, now let's go into the whole murder, because this is what brings Joanna, played by Megan Good, her character. This is what brings her to New York.
Right.
And so, I'm trying.
Let's talk. Megan, why don't you break what's going on as far as that's concerned, since you saw the show like half a dozen times. Or was that Amber? Which one of you guys saw the show? We both saw like half a dozen times.
Yes, we did watch it multiple times.
Okay.
So she goes to New York. She agrees to go to New York after Will asks her, and she goes to the private funeral that's held at the house. And that's where she runs into Julian Bowers, who we find out is her ex-boo thing back when she used to live in the house.
Right.
And you also meet Mia for the first time, who is his little sister, their little sister. And it was really heart-wrenching when Vivian's father, Robert, if I'm correct.
Robert, played by Victor Garber.
Yes.
Titanic fame. He had a little small part in the town. He's the dude. He also played Jennifer Garner's dad on Alias. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes.
I love him. My mom's like in love with him. She's like, he's so handsome. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry about that.
So yes, and he gives a great story about Vivian and how, she was the child that wanted one more. She never wanted to sleep. She wanted one more of everything. And Mia cries. And it touched my heart, because that really humanized Vivian, because as you can tell, she's a party girl. She's always out on the town. That's how people know her. So the fact that she's dead, and they're really humanizing her in this moment when they're at the house. That night, Robert asks Megan Good's character, Joanna, if she wants to stay for dinner, and she agrees to. And that's where we see some of the conflict that goes on with the family. That's where you first notice, okay, this family's probably not all together. Yes, they're worth $10 billion, but this is the first time that you see that. And I think with the first part being the brother Edward, who is the older brother, played by Tate Donovan. And
he's the bomb. Argo.
He is.
Actually, Victor Garber was an Argo as well. They're both in it.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
So Big Brother Eddie, you see his wife and him are not on good terms. Eddie is in the house. He's staying at his parents' house, not with his wife. And they kind of have a little exchange, and she's like, no, get away from me. I'll be all right.
Money.
Right.
I gotta leave.
They have a very, very tense relationship.
Yes.
There's a lot of stress on that.
And Joanna overheard the conversation, because when she was sleeping, she heard a noise and she heard them arguing. So she goes and, of course, investigates and listens. So that's one of her things that she's trying to do. She's trying to figure out what's going on with the family. So that's her purpose there. So she overheard the arguing, so she knows that there's some tension.
And I think it's important to note that his wife, what she said, which is, I don't want your money. She basically, you get the feeling that she just wants to get out of there. Like, I don't want your money. I just want out.
Yeah, it seems like it's really crazy. And then at some point, and that was a good point, Megan, at some point there was a point when they were discussing that the family is really, is very unstable.
You can see that, though.
And she, when they were discussing Edward's past with the case where he had supposedly or apparently or allegedly, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Bamm Ericsen. Allegedly had raped and strangled some young woman, and 15 years prior. That seems to be wearing their relationship thin, based on what it appears from the outset.
Well, yeah, she mentions that. She says, our daughter can Google you. Like, she's old enough to know that. And she's like, well, we tell her the truth. I'm innocent, but I don't really think he's innocent.
I don't either.
But then again, also, there's more to the story that we need to know, because did this alleged rape, did this happen while they were married? Was it before? There's a lot of questions that's unanswered. And so we don't really know. I can't really judge her for why she feels that way, because if it was before, then that's you for marrying him and having the baby. But if it's during the relationship, then, she may have a right to feel the way she feels.
Well, Will mentions when he was in San Francisco, like trying to get Joanna to come to New York, he says that he's in the house because his wife thinks he's abusive. Like, they're separated because of the abuse.
Right.
So, like, the FBI has an idea of what's going on. They know he's abusive, etc.
Right, and that's a good point, Amber. They also mentioned where Edward may have been trying to get Vivian out of the will. And that's a huge motivational factor. motive for murder when you're talking about billions of dollars and a family that is just privileged. So that has always usually been some kind of motive when you're dealing with this kind of situation. But at the same time, you know, when he went to go visit her,
he was the first one.
Yeah, Amber, he was the first one to go see her at the morgue to identify the body.
Yeah.
And he seemed very in his own moment. I mean, he attacked the coroner for taking pictures. It looked like he was going to sell pictures, and then he was apologizing to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, "I'm sorry, I tried."
You're right.
Yeah. And then he seemed really sad too at the wake when the father was giving this story to her about her. He was in the windowsill, and you can tell he was getting really emotional.
See, I don't think either of the brothers seemed emotional. They both seemed pretty unaffected by the entire thing to me.
Yeah.
That was just my opinion, though.
Well, Julian seemed more unaffected than Edward. Edward seemed more affected.
I mean, their sister died, and he's like, when they're on the phone, she's like, "Oh, your brother's gonna go identify her, and you just go pick your other sister up from school." Like, nobody was grieving at all. They were just like, "Okay, let's handle this strategically."
I don't think they showed his reaction, though. I think he probably was a little hurt, just because the way he's so attentive to their little sister, Mia. You know, if you notice, I think that's why he has to be so strong, because Mia is breaking down, and I don't think it would... I think he feels like, as a man, I can't cry. My little sister's crying.
He literally rolled out of the bed. The girl was still laying there
I
naked.
agree with you, Amber. To me, he seems a little callous to me. Like, there's ulterior motives. There's something going on there with Julian. He doesn't seem to be, like, really emotionally invested. He seems like he has more of an agenda going on as opposed to a grieving process.
Absolutely.
I am emotionally invested in iTunes. So I think I better tell everybody what iTunes is about, being that this is our first recap for Deception. So you guys, make sure that you guys go to iTunes. What it does is you guys can download this great podcast for free, and you can pass it along, and you could tell your friends. And what it does is it just allows us to be able to continue to do the show. So if you guys can just go to iTunes, please download, please rate. We have a top 10s here at AfterBuzz TV, and so we would love for Deception to be in the top 10. So make sure that you go to iTunes, download it, and rate it. It's free. Tell a friend, and then don't forget about the podcast app. And what that does is it organizes all of the subscriptions for all the various great, wonderful shows that we have here on AfterBuzz TV, and so you guys make sure that you check out iTunes and the podcast.
Yes, iPad. Let's say iPad.
iTunes.
iTunes. Podcasts. Love it. Comment, rate. All positive though. Thank you very much. Yeah. So back to the investigation. I don't want to get into predictions yet, and give us like a couple minutes to go into predictions. And then right before that, we're gonna go into news and gossip. But this show, are you guys happy with the structure of the show?
Yes.
Amber,
I personally think that it has so many storylines that it's going to stay around for a while.
do you think it's too many storylines?
I don't think you can ever have too many storylines. Like, because that's what keeps you watching, and it keeps you, you know, sometimes when you're watching TV, you're texting, you're doing this, you're doing all, like, it keeps you attentive because you have to pick up every little piece. And I think that this story is so woven. Like, I think they're going to bring out, you know, Joanna's mom. I think so many things have so many things to do with this, what's going on. And I think the pilot, I like the way they presented all the ideas.
Okay. What do you think about that, ma'am?
I won't say that it's all over the place, but it does. There's so much that's going on that it does leave for a lot of things that will be answered eventually. I know. I think this there's 8 episodes so far,
right?
And so it definitely gives you enough to where you have to wonder, like, all this obviously can't be accomplished in a couple episodes. So within this 8 or 9 week episode that they're gonna do, there's a lot of things that's gonna be revealed and that's gonna come to light. Say for instance, what I thought was really interesting was how pretty much the whole family except for the dad does not want Joanna's character to live in the house. And for me, I feel that that's kind of weird that they would first of all invite her to stay over, and then the dad offers her a job. They haven't seen her in eons, and most billionaire people, there's normally some kind of research or something, especially when you've been gone a long time, and there has been no communication between her and Vivian.
Well, you got to remember, she grew up there.
I understand that she grew up, but
remember when you're worth that kind of money and you have that kind of elitism or prestige, you live in a bubble. And pretty much the people you know are the people you feel like you know.
That is a good point.
So that gives them a little bit like, oh, a familiar face. We know this girl.
But nobody,
yada, yada, yada.
But nobody wants her there. They refer.
Julian does.
Yeah, Julian does.
There's like
and so does the dad.
The dad.
The dad wants her there, and he's what matters.
Sophia does. The only person that has a problem is Edward and Mia.
Well, Sophia.
No, I don't think Sophia really. I think she was being nice at the dinner table.
She was a little snippy before she left at the end of the night. With when Mia left, and then
she's like, so how long are you gonna be here?
Right,
like,
you know. And
but you said come with open arms, so I'm gonna take it for what you said, and I'm staying forever.
But it seems kind of like when somebody is nice to you just to be nice, just because they're supposed to be, as opposed to it really being genuine.
Okay, okay.
It's like when you're eating your food and you're just really hungry, and then someone's sitting there not eating, and you're like, you want some, but you really don't want to give them any.
See, I'm
like,
not
you
that
better
person.
say That's how people, pretty much are. When it comes to offering.
That makes sense.
So.
Okay.
The mom is she was really good in the campaign, by the way. I loved her. I can't remember her name. I really don't. I read it a couple times, but she's a good actress.
Her name? Is that what you're asking?
The actress who plays Sophia
Catherine
Bowers.
Lanassa.
What is it?
Catherine Lanassa.
Catherine Lanassa. And you know what's so funny? I just saw the campaign. I just actually got it on Blu-ray a couple nights ago, and I was like, she's good. And I watched it, and it's funny. She's on the show, and she's talented. I'm impressed. I mean, if Will Ferrell, you're in a movie with Will Ferrell, and now you're on NBC, you have to be talented. You're good. So she's doing her thing.
Yeah, she has to be good. I don't like her already, so that means she's doing her part.
That means she's doing her thing. Exactly. She's playing. Amber's like, I don't like her already.
I don't.
So she's doing something right with the character.
But
so,
you know who
Megan,
I do
what do you think, Megan?
Okay, well, I want to say this. Who I do like is the guy who unfortunately just died, Remy Colville, the tabloid reporter. I think he's funny, and unfortunately, he's gone. He's gone
already. And you know what? That's actually that kind of threw me for a loop for a second. Cause I was like, okay, that was a quick twist because he got offed like immediately.
Yeah, I was like, okay, NBC, y'all are killing people already.
And they were supposed to build with that a little bit, or so you thought.
But I think it's great that he is gone because Laz's character, Will, has hesitation. He didn't want Joanna to go back and to investigate because she has ties to Remy, and so if he
plus her cover was blown.
Yeah, and her cover was blown because he knew she was. So now Laz. Although he doesn't want her to go back into the house, he's gonna now have to look and find out who these guys are. So it gives more to the story that he's dead more than he's alive.
And you have a point about that. What I didn't really like was how Joanna caught him in the tree. Because when you're worth that kind of money, the security, like even if it's like, okay, such and such is leaving, the property, the premises, they're gonna have security to account for this person that's leaving the premises.
But he was there the day before, talking to Mia.
He was there the day before, and that's
so maybe he never left.
So where was he?
In the tree.
It's a big house. Who knows?
No, but what I'm saying is, he is not part of that family. He wasn't a guest. He came to visit, and it's like, okay, such and such is leaving now.
But if you notice, they didn't have a lot of security. Like, they had a valet at the funeral, but they didn't have like security guards. They don't have like a.
But see, that's something I would assume. That's just me, but that's just my sensibility. I would think that you're worth that kind of money. But I know Bill Gates and Warren Buffett got crazy security, even though we don't see it when they take their pictures for Newsweek and Forbes magazine.
You're right. There wasn't like a lot of security, which for me, it knows the points of why they have to mention TMZ and the tabloids. Our sister, when Mia said our sister's being on TMZ and the media and blah, but there's no, I don't know, maybe because I'm in LA, like I don't feel like it's a paparazzi type family.
Well, they mentioned TMZ, so obviously they're in the midst of whatever.
Yeah, they're like New York socialites.
Let's get into news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Well,
Megan, go.
So, if you get the February issue of Ebony, you will see the lovely Megan Good and her husband, preacher / movie exec Devon Franklin, on the cover of the February issue. I think I'm gonna get that because they look so cute together, and they just got married.
Yeah, congratulations to Megan and Devon. That's awesome.
Is there anything that's referenced that they're gonna maybe speak about in the article?
Say that one more time.
Did they reference or is there any tidbits and what we can expect for the article?
No, well, all I know is they do discuss their relationship, and they discuss, of course, how working together, how busy they've been, and how that affects their relationship. And they also discuss both being celibate before they got married.
I recall that.
Good for Megan. I'm happy for her.
She got a Prince Charming. How cute is that?
Congrats, Megan and Devon. That's excellent. So what do you have over there, Amber?
I read that Deception beat out ABC's Castle for the #1 spot in ratings.
Did it last night?
Last night. So
That's what we're talking about.
5.6 million viewers.
This is like a love-hate.
5.6.
Okay.
So it beat out and it got a 2-point rating.
I'm happy, but I'm bummed because I recap Castle as well. So,
well, sorry about that.
Yeah.
We win again.
Well, congratulations to Deception.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully they can stay at #1. Hopefully they can keep that up because it's a great look for her and then for the network too.
Thanks, Amber.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I just want to give a shout out to Justin Key on Twitter at JustinKey101. He said, please don't try and compare Scandal and Deception. Both are amazing shows with amazing writers and amazing actors. Shout out to the showrunners. And I'm glad somebody actually mentioned that because the premises of the show are actually
completely different,
have nothing to do with each other. And although they both have African-American female leads, the show and storylines are nothing alike.
To me, this is more like a Black revenge.
I was going to say that.
That's what they've been saying too.
So,
to me, it's not even a Black revenge.
It is.
Everybody on the show is still not Black. Only person that's Black is Megan Good.
But in the sense that it's a Black version because she's the lead.
Let's say it's an NBC version of revenge because you don't have to put color in it.
Okay, well,
because
to me, it's not even revenge because revenge. This girl goes in with an actual agenda.
Megan has an agenda.
Megan's agenda is to find out what's going on. This girl has an agenda to do stuff to people.
But at the end of the episode, she says, "I'm gonna stay," because we forgot to mention the big key point that Mia is not the Bowers' daughter.
Yes,
she's Vivian's daughter.
That's true.
She was born.
That's
so
true.
Vivian was pregnant when she passed, and she also had a child at the age of 15 or 16.
Yeah, she got around.
Yeah.
She's a party girl.
I know.
You saw
I guess
her
so.
popping the pills,
Okay, so let's get into predictions for next week.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, predictions for next week. Week 2, Amber Jaye, go.
I predict that Julian has a much higher role than he did on this show. I think he's going to come forth as one of the primary suspects, only because we see him throwing the ring at the bottom. And he was the developer of this cancer drug that they were creating. So I think that
shady business.
Remy, they're going to find some of Remy's findings, and Julian is going to be one of the top suspects.
Okay. Bamm Ericsen, predictions, go.
Can you go first?
Megan, predictions, go.
I'm going to say the father, Robert Bowers. I think we're going to find out more stuff that he did that kind of demonizes the guy. And I think we're going to start to question him more. Even though right now we kind of see him as a loving father, I think we're going to see more things that he does that shows that he might have had something to do with this.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Okay. Bamm Ericsen, predictions, go.
A couple things. So with the ring with Julian, and so I'm sure the question I think most people would probably assume is that ring is either Vivian's because we don't know who Vivian was in bed with. So
correct.
It's I'm going to assume that ring that he's throwing out is either from Vivian because she's dead, or he's throwing it out because it's Joanna's, and maybe he really did love her when they used to have relations back during the flashbacks. So I believe the ring is either for Vivian or Joanna. And then the dad, I think that there's a reason that he's keeping Joanna around and giving her that job. And so you said he may be nice, but I think he has a hidden agenda and he wants to keep her there for something that will be revealed later.
Okay. Good job, Bamm Ericsen.
You're welcome.
Well, my prediction is Mia starts her job. She gets involved with Julian, as we saw in the previews for next week. She gets involved in Julian, and Will's character, Laz's character, Will, is not gonna be happy with that, and he is actually wants to rebuild something with Joanna while he's going through this investigation, and that's going to. I'm busy. Can't you see I'm on AfterBuzz right now? That is going to infringe upon his love agenda with Joanna to rekindle that week of romance that they had. That is going to be the primary thing for me. I'm Thaddeus Masse. Where can we find you?
Ladies first.
In the meantime, guys.
You can find me on Twitter at I'm Amber Jaye. IMAMBERJAYE.
Hit me up on Twitter at Meg Scoop, MEGSCOOP.
Bamm Ericsen, BAMMERICSEN on Twitter.
Thaddeus at Club Thaddeus, CLUBTHADDEUS. Until next time, we see you guys next week for season 1 of NBC's Deception, episode 2. Until then.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.